You know, folks in that area, be aware, tornado warning for you. Go to the lowest level of your home, away from any windows. We do have an active tornado warning in place until 3 o'clock. First Alert meteorologist Patrick P. is with me this afternoon. Patrick, I know you're watching very closely for any damage reports coming in. What information are you finding right now?
No damage reports just yet, Jennifer, but we are out of our different camera shots. This is actually from the Bowdoin area. Bowdoin, we're picking up on some heavy downpours that are moving through that area. You can kind of see how the wind is whipping that rain along the streets. That kind of gives you that indication that we are getting some heavier downpours. We've been keeping a very close eye on that circulation that we've been tracking on First Alert radar. And something that we've noticed over the last couple of scans is that the rotation has broadened a little bit, but it is still producing some very gusty winds. And what we've learned from tracking these storms all of our careers is that with these type of thunderstorms, they can pulse. They can actually, we can see that rotation tighten. We can see it expand. Right now, that rotation sitting right over the Victory and Farmers High area. Right now, this cell moving at about 35 miles per hour to the north and east. So we're trying to give as many folks lead time as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand out the area that we're tracking here. We'll just kind of, that whole portion of the storm that is circulating, we'll track this out to the north and east at about 35 miles per hour. We'll track this beyond, of course, the warning area. But what we want to do is give folks as much lead time as possible because we know that in these type of situations, as much time that we can get you to prepare for these storms, the better. So this is moving to the northeast, roughly at 35 miles per hour. This is going to push into Colonial Estates, Double Branches, and Fair Lawn Estates at around 2:35 or so. So you have about 5 minutes to get to that safe space. You don't want to take your time. You want to get there immediately. Cedarwood, Oak Grove area just before 2:40, and Clem at around 2:45. Once again, this is a warned storm. As First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez showed you, First Alert Radar, powerful tool. We can actually query some of these winds. And at the very minimum, we have some very strong winds, roughly 64, 65 miles per hour, starting to push into some of these areas. And this is crossing over the Crook Road area, the Old Word Road area, moving towards Flying, headed towards Brock Road, Harmon Road, pushing into the Tyus Carrollton Road area. So a lot of folks producing are getting in on some of these strong winds. This is a rotating thunderstorm. We are actually cutting into programming a little bit early because we have a tornado warned cell that is moving to the northeast, and we're continuing to monitor that, Jen. So right now, nothing else confirmed, no reports coming in, but we are seeing evidence of some very strong thunderstorms moving through that area, and First Alert Radar is picking up on some rotation. And I do want to note, we're keeping an eye on this entire line as it is pushing to the east. Even some of those areas that are included in severe thunderstorm warnings, we've seen some rotation, at least very broadly in them, and that's something that we'll have to watch. Jen, in the meantime, we did get a new severe thunderstorm warning to the north.
Yeah, new warning. So you notice that area in yellow has been extended further north. That is a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. This is until 3:15, and this does include Polk County, Paulding County, and Haralson County. So this is starting to impact more and more of the metro area. This other area in yellow, that is a severe thunderstorm watch. That means severe thunderstorms are possible, but as you're seeing, even those warned storms are well out of that watch area. So you don't necessarily have to be included in that watch to see severe weather. A watch is just where it's most likely to happen. Tornadoes will be possible as this line moves through. The highest threat of tornadoes will be in far west Georgia. Basically, the warmer it is where you are, the higher the likelihood of severe weather. As this line inches closer and closer to Atlanta, it is much cooler in the city of Atlanta. We have what we call a wedge. We talk about this a lot, especially in the fall and the winter and the spring months when that air gets trapped along the mountains and we get those cooler temperatures because of those easterly winds. That's what we're seeing right now. That's going to keep us a little more stable. That's going to help this line weaken. And although the cooler temperatures will help this line weaken, it's still going to be incredibly strong, especially across far west Georgia as this system rolls on in. The tornado warning we have in place right now, this is for Carroll County. This is where we are seeing some rotation within this thunderstorm. Here are those temperatures. Again, we talked about that wedge, but right now, Carroll County, we have a brand new warning coming in. So let me step off so I can get this for you. This is for Carroll County tornado warning. This is where we did have a warning. It looks like they may be seeing another area of rotation, or they are adjusting this warning for Carroll County. Patrick.
minutes ago behind you because I saw some circulation tightening up. I wanted to just get it up there. They just issued a new warning just to the south of that for this rotation that's near Roopville. So a whole separate tornado warning. We have 2 tornado warnings now encompassing the same county. So we have that rotation to the north that's over the Farmers High Victory area pushing to the north and east. And now we have this new warning that is right over Roopville, about to cross over Highway 27. So a whole separate warning. If you're in Carroll County, you need to be in your safe space. We're about to get to that a few minutes ago. The safe space is going to be that interior room. We'll get that graphic up for you in just a second. Away from all windows and doors. That's typically a bathroom. That's also typically going to be a walk-in closet, areas under a stairwell. And if you have a bicycle helmet, you want to take something to protect your head, that's always a go-to. We're working to get the speed of this tornado for you.
East at 25.
East at 25?
East at 25, Patrick.
Cool.
Yeah, and this is very similar to what we saw with our event last week, really even over the weekend with these tornado warnings, where we see multiple tornado warnings for the exact same county. And if you're wondering, why do I have 2 warnings for Carroll County? It's because the National Weather Service issues these warnings based on the exact location of the rotation. They don't want the entire county to have to go to their safe spot for an extended period of time if you are not included in that area in the path of the tornado. So that is why we have 2 separate warnings for Carroll County for 2 separate areas of rotation within the exact same county. This other area we're watching, again, we have one more north in northern Carroll County, including the city of Carrollton. And then we also have a separate tornado warning just south of that. This second one heading towards the Whitesburg area at 307, Noonan at 323, and then the target in that area around 328. So 2 separate possible tornadoes. These are radar indicated tornadoes. They're moving east at about 25 to 35 miles an hour. These are radar indicated as they continue to race to the east. Patrick, I know you're watching very closely for any updates.
Yeah, we got a producer team that's in the booth that's actually, every time we get a new warning, we start to mention communities that are throwing cameras our way. We just mentioned Roopville. This is a camera right now in Roopville. This is going to be at State Route 1 and State Route 5 in Carroll County. You can kind of see these trucks coming through, but out in the distance, you got those heavier downpours out there as well. So we're keeping a very close eye because we want to get as close of an eye to the storm as possible as we're tracking 2 warned tornado systems, one of them in the Roopville area, obviously reducing visibility, producing some heavy rain, blinding rain right now in this area. And you can see if you stare long enough that the winds are blowing some of the rain across the road here. The traffic lights are moving a little bit, not a whole lot, but it has changed a little bit. Once again, right over the Roopville area, pushing to the east. Folks that are in Star Point, this is going to arrive at 2:42. That's less than 10 minutes. That's roughly 6 minutes away from your area. If you're in Glenlock, 2:45. Yellow Dirt, 2:49. Clem, this is going to push into your neck of the woods at around 2:56. Banning at 3:05. Dingler Crossroads and Whitesburg at around 3:07. We don't want anyone to get confused. We got 2 separate tornado warnings across the same county. As we mentioned just a few minutes ago, this whole line has been rotating. So if you have received an alert from the First Alert Weather app saying that you are under an active severe thunderstorm warning, I would treat this as a tornado warning just because there has been rotation, Jennifer, along this entire line. It's kind of been moving a little bit.
Yeah, and this is what we've been watching for closely. This whole line from top to bottom, moving in from Alabama into Georgia, has torrential downpours, frequent lightning, the possibility of strong damaging winds and hail, but even an isolated tornado possible. That's exactly what we're seeing within this entire line, these little notches that have possible rotation. In fact, in Carroll County, we have 2 separate areas we are watching for a possible tornado. These are radar indicated, but it is raining so heavily along this line, even if there was a tornado on the ground, it would be virtually impossible to see. So this shows the reflectivity here. This is the actual rain. When you see those dark reds, even pinks here, this is how heavily it is raining over the area, and all of this is moving east. So these would be rain-wrapped tornadoes, which is why it's so important you don't wait until you see the tornado. You need to get to your safe spot immediately. These radars are very effective, very powerful, and they are detecting some rotation along this entire line, or at least possible rotation. But right now it's in Carroll County where we see 2 distinct cells that are possibly rotating. If you are in Carroll County and you are included in that tornado warning, chances are you got a alert on your cell phone. If you have the First Alert Weather app, you certainly got multiple alerts about these tornado warnings and possible severe storms as they continue to race through Carroll County over the city of Carrollton and then south of Carrollton through southern portions of Carroll County. This is the second tornado warning we have. You see that polygon, and then we have another one just above it. These are until about 3 o'clock, if not later. We will have to watch if this is extended, but as this continues to move east, it is going to interact with some cooler temperatures. That helps stabilize the atmosphere, and that's going to cause these storms to start to weaken. So I don't think we'll see severe weather from west to east across the entire state. I do think we will see some improvement, especially as this approaches the metro area where temperatures are in the 60s. In fact, it's 67 degrees. 67 degrees right now at Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International. So certainly as this interacts, some of those cooler temperatures, this will weaken, but we are watching for some possible rotation. I will say right now we're not seeing anything very signature. Sometimes you look at the radar and you can see that tornado perfectly, but we'll be watching because usually when a cell develops a tornado, it can quickly spin up and then it can come back down. So we'll be watching along this line for any notches or any additional areas of rotation as this moves east. But at a minimum, we're seeing very, very strong winds of possibly 58 plus miles an hour. Could see some small hail in some of the strongest storms. And we are seeing torrential downpours with frequent lightning. So these are some nasty storms that are moving across West Georgia. Patrick, I know you're watching very closely. How are things looking to you?
You know, Jennifer, you were talking about the temperatures because that plays a very significant role in instability, right? The warmer the numbers, the more unstable the atmosphere is. The cooler the numbers, the more stable. And the reason why we're not concerned about a lot of these areas to the north and east, oops, looks like we messed up a little bit, but we'll fix that. The reason why we're not concerned about these numbers to the north and east is because when we have cold wedge, you hear us talk about it all the time. You have cooler air coming in from the northeast, cooler air is more stable. Meanwhile, you have more unstable air to the south and west of the city. You got the 70s and the 80s. So that's why we were concerned about these strong storms. That's why we have the severe thunderstorm watch that's in place and also several severe thunderstorm warnings, not to mention the tornado warnings. Now, we always want to tell you to get to your safe space, right? That is going to be the most important thing that you can do whenever you have tornadoes or even strong, severe storms moving through your area, because our primary concern is our safety, right? And if you live in an area that's surrounded by trees, trees can hit your house. And if you think about all of the imagery that you see after tornado warnings, sometimes you can see into people's bedrooms, any of the rooms that are on the corner of the house, sometimes that whole wall is gone. And that's why we always tell you, you want to be away from exterior walls, because sometimes those walls are not there at the end of the event here. So you don't want to be in the bedroom, definitely don't want to be in the garage, you don't want to be in the living room or the kitchen. Those are all bad places to be. And of course, the back deck is just a no-go. You want to find the interior spaces that gives you the most opportunity to be untouched by outside elements. That could be an inner hallway, that could be a walk-in closet, that could be underneath the stairwells. Last but not least, the bathroom is always a good safe place. You want to take, whether that's a blanket, a pillow, or a helmet, something to protect your head, something to put over your head to at least give you some sort of protection from anything that could fall. Always remember, if you do have a basement, every place isn't, you know, I live in an apartment. I don't have the luxury of getting into the basement. But if you do have a basement in your home, that is going to be the hands down safest place for you to be. Jennifer, looks like you have an update right now on First Alert Radar.
Yeah. On out because I want to show the rain associated with this entire line and the size of this severe thunderstorm warning that we have in place. So this is for all of West Georgia. And again, it's this huge line moving in from Alabama that is going to make its way into the metro. We just learned that there is now a ground stop at Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International Airport, and all incoming flights are being held until these storms pass. So again, notice how far these storms are. They're right now right along the Alabama-Georgia state line. The airport is right here where I'm pointing, but the storms are on the way, and as a precaution, there is now a stop at Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International, and that will not be lifted until it is safe to travel safely. So right now they're saying until about 3:30. That may be extended later. They just don't want any flights taking off or landing during a severe thunderstorm warning. And again, right now in Atlanta, no warnings in place right now. You're seeing a live look at Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International. We do not have any warnings over the airport, but it is imminent that these storms are moving in. So this is the time, if you are in Fulton County, Cobb County, Cherokee County. If you're even in Douglas County, you have less time, but Douglas County, down in Coweta County. These storms are heading in your direction here very, very shortly. So now is the time to bring in the trash can, let the dog out one last time, run and get whatever it is you need out of your vehicle that may be parked outside. If you have a garage, put the car inside the garage. Just be aware that these storms are approaching very quickly, and they are making their way into the metro area, and they are racing very, very quick. This entire area in yellow, all the way from Troup County to Floyd County. So Floyd County to Troup County, that does include Polk County, Carroll County, Haralson County, Heard County. You are under a severe thunderstorm warning for the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds. Some small hail will be possible as well. Then within that warning, we also have the tornado warning for Carroll County. And it looks like now we're down to one warning for Carroll County as this entire line is moving east very quickly. I will say models wanted to bring this line of storms into Atlanta around 5 p.m., but it does look like it's moving in much faster than that. I'm stepping off because we're getting an update to this warning, and I just want to make sure I'm giving you the very latest information as soon as it comes in. And it does look like we have a severe thunderstorm warning until 3:30. So we will be watching for that. This does include much of the metro area. This includes Paulding County. This includes Haralson County, Carroll County, Douglas County, Heard County, Coweta County, and Fulton County. You are under a severe thunderstorm warning. This is until 3:30 p.m. Again, this entire line moving in has the possibility of producing 60-mile-an-hour winds. So even tornado removed, we're talking about 60-mile-an-hour winds, which will easily topple some trees and power lines, certainly some ponding on the roadways, and some damage as these storms are roaring to the east very quickly. This arrival very, very soon here within the next 30 minutes or so as it makes its way into metro Atlanta. The storm's moving into Villa Rica right now, Whitesburg at 2:48, Taylorsville at 2:51, Dallas at 2:56, Hogansville at 3 o'clock, Douglasville at 3 o'clock, Twin Mills Winery at 3 o'clock, Noonan also at 3, Hiram at 3:01. So as you see, this is starting to move into higher and higher populated areas. This line of very heavy rain, strong storms marching into the Atlanta area with the possibility of severe weather. We do still have that active tornado warning, but we are looking at the wind velocity, and the storm is now moving east of where that tornado warning is located. So I do expect that tornado warning to expire or be lifted. Okay, exactly. It is gone. Once we see that storm move out of the area in the warning and we give the all clear, you are in the all clear. So right now, tornado warning has been lifted, no longer in effect for Carroll County. And it looks like both tornado warnings are over and done with. As we continue to approach those cooler temperatures, I do expect this line to weaken. And although we don't have any tornado warnings right now, all this area in yellow is a severe thunderstorm warning. 60-mile-an-hour winds plus. 60-mile-an-hour winds can easily topple trees and power lines. So you don't have to have a tornado to see damage. You don't have to have a tornado to see trees down, power outages, power lines coming down. So this is still a very serious situation as this moves into metro Atlanta, especially in the heart of the afternoon. Kids are getting released from school. Buses are on the road. Kids are walking from their bus stop home. So this is really, the timing is terrible because this is going to impact that peak activity during the afternoon hours as these storms are racing into the metro area. Everyone in yellow you see here, that is a severe thunderstorm warning. So this does include Polk County, Paulding County, Douglas County, Carroll County, Coweta County. As we take you into Heard County, you are included in this severe thunderstorm warning. This is in effect until 3:30. But remember, even though we are expecting this to start to weaken as it pushes into Atlanta, this will continue moving into the Atlanta area. So right now, Hartsville, Jackson, you are not technically under a warning right now, but because that line is moving into Atlanta, Midtown, downtown, Sandy Springs, Dunwoody, you name it, these storms are heading your way. That ground stop has been issued at Hartsfield Jackson Atlanta International because of these severe storms that are approaching. It's just not safe to take off and land during these storms. Certainly, it is not safe to be out and about in these storms. Now, Patrick and I were talking about the temperatures, and that plays a critical role in the severity of these storms and how quickly they weaken. Even looking at this, a good indicator on how strong a storm is by how much lightning it has. When you look at First Alert radar right here, where does your eye take you? Where are you seeing all of that lightning? Oh, and we went off. Let's go back real quick to radar. We'll come back to temperatures in a minute because I just want to finish this thought. Notice over Roanoke, this is in Alabama, we're seeing a big cluster of lightning there. Carroll County into Heard County. Notice that big cluster of lightning there. Then notice as you start going a little further north, notice how that lightning virtually disappears. That is because we have cooler temperatures in that area, and as this continues to push east into cooler temperatures, it will continue to weaken. It's like somebody is stiff-arming these storms like this, saying, nope, nope, nope. That system is moving in, and although we're still going to see rain and storms, these are expected to weaken, and hopefully they should be below severe limits or close to it as they approach the downtown, midtown, Buckhead area, so inside the perimeter. The strongest likelihood of storms is going to be mainly along and south of I-20, just because that's where the warmer temperatures are located. Now, if we can go back to those temperatures, I'll show you why we're expecting this line to weaken as it moves east, because it's chilly out there. Temperatures are way below average. We have what we call a wedge in place. It's where that air gets trapped on the mountains here. Blairsville at 65. Look at Gainesville in Hall County. It's 59 degrees. The higher the temperatures, the more instability there is in the atmosphere. That's why we get so much severe weather in the spring, because we have a lot of instability as these cold fronts move through. We are in the 60s right now. This is not what you typically see at the end of May. 67 right now in Atlanta. Notice north of I-20 how much cooler it is. 59 in Gainesville, 61 in Canton. So as the storms start to interact with these cooler temperatures, they're going to fizzle, and you're going to see it on radar. We're going to play it in real time, and as you see, you'll see when we show you this throughout the afternoon, as these storms were moving in from Alabama, they were very potent, very electrical, very, very strong. And then as they start to move east, further and further east, they're going to encounter some of those cooler temperatures, and it's going to force them to weaken. So that's very, very good. I know you probably don't like those 50s and low 60s we have right now. It's a little chilly, but that is going to make a world of difference for these storms as they continue to push east. Right now, we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for much of West Georgia approaching the metro area. Far southwestern portions of Fulton County, you're included in that warning area. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning, and it really extends from southern Floyd County into Polk County, Paulding County, Douglas County, far southern portions of Fulton County, Coweta County. You have a severe thunderstorm warning. These are for the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds, really 58 plus, and large hail. And this is heading towards the Atlanta area. Again, I do expect it to weaken as it moves east, but heading towards the Atlanta area around 3:46 p.m. So this is moving in about an hour faster than previously expected. So if you were watching the First Alert weather team this morning, they were showing you this line moving in, certainly going to be an impact during especially the early afternoon. The risk of severe weather is going to be along the leading line, the leading edge of those storms. So once that leading edge passes over your area, it's still raining, but that threat of severe weather will be over. The 60-mile-an-hour winds, the large hail, that threat will be ending. It's also along the leading edge where we are watching for any possible rotation. We certainly saw it as moving in from Alabama, and we saw it as it was moving into Georgia as well. This is where we have that leading edge. We also have very strong winds along that leading edge. That is what is making these warnings or these thunderstorms severe. They are severe when they have winds of 58 miles an hour or stronger. So these are moving east. Right now, the strongest winds now pushing out of Carrollton, the city of Carrollton, moving through the Whitesburg area and then extending into east of Franklin. And this is pushing to the east. So if you are on the right side of this, if you are in Douglasville, if you are in Douglas County, South Fulton County, Coweta County, Troup County, you have very strong thunderstorms that are approaching your area. Thankfully, we have no active tornado warnings right now, but we do have a very big cluster of counties that are included in a severe thunderstorm warning that is marching into the Atlanta metro area. First Alert meteorologist Patrick P. He is here with me this afternoon, and he's been watching these storms very closely. Patrick.
Yeah, Jennifer, we can get Barron behind. Oh, actually, this works. We'll talk about it. So if you look at the northern half of our map, because a lot of times in these situations, the conversation is, what about me, right? Because at the end of the day, we are concerned about ourselves, right? If you're in, let's say, Chattooga, Floyd County, Gordon County, you just kind of got hammered over the course of the last week with multiple confirmed tornadoes. Folks that are in the Calhoun area stretching to the east, that part of North Georgia is just in a more stable part of our area, right? So we've been talking about those cooler temperatures, that wedge bringing in that more stable air. We're not concerned about what's going to happen up there. It's going to rain, and you may get a rumble of thunder or two, but we really believe that the atmosphere is pretty tapped out because of that stable air that's there. So you'll get some showers. You may get a stray rumble of thunder, but I'd say north of a line that exists about here, I'm not terribly concerned about what happens in all of this area here. You're just going to have run-of-the-mill showers, maybe some run-of-the-mill rumbles of thunder. We'll have to be concerned about rain totals at some point, but other than that, as far as severe weather, that risk looks to be pretty much south of I-20, right? The northern extent is just way more stable. We were looking to see if we could see anything else that would let us know that the thunderstorms are gaining momentum. We look to see if there's any hail, and right now, while we may have some small hail that's developing, we don't really see anything that's overwhelming, right? Except for maybe starting to move into portions of northwestern Troup County. Radar starting to see the potential at least for some 1 inch in diameter hail, quarter-size hail. So we'll have to watch if that trend continues through a couple of cycles. The National Weather Service may issue a severe thunderstorm warning for that lower leg of the cell, but otherwise, it's rain, it's wind, and it's definitely some lightning. We'll have to watch. Once again, if you're in northern Troup County, you'll have to watch to see how this storm evolves over the course of the next couple of minutes. If it continues to maintain its energy, we could see a warning issued. Otherwise, the blue that you see here, that's just through the Franklin area, into the east, Enon Grove, Wilson Store, Handy. That's pretty much just going to be small pea-size hail at best. So while that can be annoying, and you'll hear it on the roof of your car. You can hear the rain, but then all of a sudden you're just going to hear like something that's like denting, like just kind of like, like pins hitting it or whatever. That's going to be like little rocks. That is going to be that very, very small hail. I don't think it's going to be enough to really do much in the way of damage, but very small pea-size hail is possible where you see some of that blue located. Otherwise, it's just going to be messy to get out on the roads right now, right? We have several strong storms, and this northern extent of the storm that's moving through the Rockmart, Taylorsville, Dallas area, the radar trends over the last few minutes have been in a direction that's positive for you in a sense that it's not as aggressive of a line of storm, still producing some 40, 50, maybe close to 60 miles per hour winds. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens as we get closer to this warning expiring. It's set to expire at around 3:15, so that's less than 20 minutes away. I don't see the instability here that would lead me to believe that the National Weather Service would extend this warning. The winds are not quite as aggressive. You see that there are some strong winds that are pushing into that area, but you're not seeing it as bright as it is to the south, and that's just an indication of intensity, speed. The brighter the green or red, depending on the direction that it's blowing, the stronger those winds. And we're not seeing those brighter returns to the north, but we are starting to see some of those brighter returns starting to move into northwest Troup County. It's going to be well to the northwest of LaGrange. It's going to be in the Antioch, Covered Bridge, Turkey Point, Evansville area. So we'll be watching this to see if we do get an extension of that severe thunderstorm warning just a little bit in the portions of northern Troup County. That area is the warmest. It is the most unstable. So it would not be surprising that combined with what we're seeing on radar, you can see that the lightning strikes have kind of picked up in that area as well, just over the course of the last few minutes. If there's any good news, I'm not seeing any damage reports right now. We're in communication with all of our partners across all of North Georgia and portions of East Alabama, and we have emergency management officials in our chat. We have first responders in our chat. And as soon as you guys phone in and say, hey, listen, there's a tree down here, there, they immediately relay that information to us, because not only does it help us inform your community, it helps us inform communities downwind, right? Because we're all in this together when these storms roll through. We get a report that we're getting damaged trees, down power lines in an area. And if it continues to look the same on radar, we can infer that that's going to be the case as it moves into other communities. So reporting those things to emergency management officials, the police department, the fire department, that immediately gets filtered into us, and we can help warn more people downwind what's happening with these storms. So right now, several active severe thunderstorm warnings across our area, at least encompassing several counties. This is still including portions of southern Paulding County, Douglas County, Carroll County, portions of Coweta County, as well as Heard County, but not yet including folks that are in Troup County. But once again, that northwestern part of the county is experiencing some storm growth. We're seeing at least the potential for some hail that's a little bit larger than what we've seen anywhere else. Of course, this melts as it makes its way to the ground, but still seeing a strengthening storm. And what I mean by that, earlier when I showed you this, what I saw was 1 inch in diameter hail. Now in the Liberty Hill Road area, what I'm seeing now is about 1.5 inches diameter. So what I'm seeing is the potential for this to be larger hail. That's one of the ways that we say that a thunderstorm is intensifying. So it's something that we'll continue to monitor. And as we get more information, if this warning gets extended, we will be the first to let you know. Jen?
Yeah. And Patrick, if you can put on reflectivity on the DMA view real quick, I want to show everyone what's going on because we are still watching for some possible rotation, mainly along and south of I-20. But the area of greatest concern right now is where you see this bowing out like that, like a bow and arrow. When you see a bow like that, that tells you we have incredibly strong winds on the leading edge of this storm system. So this is where we would see some trees coming down, possibly some power outages. If you live right now in Coweta County, especially in the city of Newnan, if you are in Douglasville and Douglas County, if you are in Paulding County, that bowing area of storms is approaching your area, and that is where we have the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, very heavy rain, and frequent lightning. Right now, we do not have any tornado warnings in place, but we are watching areas south of I-20 where we have a little more shear, which is basically spin in the atmosphere. So as this line moves through, if it moves over that area with enhanced shear, that is where we could see some spin. So tornadoes are still possible. The First Alert Weather Team is here. We are keeping you updated, not only on Atlanta News First, but on our Atlanta News First First Alert Weather app. If you do not have this app, download it now. We will keep you updated throughout the afternoon on our app and on Atlanta News First.